Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger, Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia, and producer Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game, is here today. It's nice to be back, guys. It feels like it's been a long time since we recorded. Like a really long time. And I was looking at our channel page just this morning. I think the last thing that we did was me going solo. So our last show was like a week ago where we were all on together. But there really hasn't been that much of news lately. It's really just been the NCAA tournament, which has been a lot of fun. And a quick shout out to everyone playing in our March Madness bracket. We have Ancelotti is the GOAT with Houston with 550 points, tied for first with Game Day, DFS, and Christian Bernardini, all at 550 points. Ancelotti is the GOAT with Houston, Game Day, and Christian with Duke. Then in the members only bracket, we have Corey Brown at 530 points with Florida as his champion in sole possession of first place. But right behind him is me. And Ziggy was saying, I was like, Ziggy, if I win the pool, do I just give myself merch? And Ziggy's like, no, you have to give everyone merch if
well, who's right behind you?
Place.
Who's behind you?
We have Alex Bate or Beta. I'm not sure. Alex, let me know. Kennesaw State bracket was the name of his. He has Florida as well. A lot of people on the Gators. I saw a lot
of Badgers.
Sorry for butchering the pronunciation of your name, Alex, but he has a great bracket as well so far. So we'll see. Jack came in and was like, my bracket's pretty good other than my champion losing in the fourth game of the tournament.
Other than my championing out at 5:15 Eastern time on Thursday, my bracket is not that bad.
Ziggy, I was watching the game with Jack, and I have a little compilation that I'm going to splice together and throw out of Jack just reacting to Clemson losing. And, everyone saw the reel that we put out like an hour before the game of Jack saying Clemson's winning the national championship. This is him going, I picked the worst team in America. I can't believe I picked this team. And it's going to be pretty funny. It'll be enjoyable.
We were like 3 times their size getting out rebounded.
It was only because of you.
Dribbling off our feet, missing layups.
When did Clemson become our?
What?
When I put...
Oh, I thought you said I said it.
When I put $150 on to win the tournament. That's when they became ours. It's no longer ours. Now
you got what you deserve.
Now it's they.
We hope everyone's enjoying the tournament.
Stupid Clemson.
If you're enjoying the show, please remember to like, comment, and to subscribe to the channel as the 2025 NFL season approaches. You can always catch us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you can't watch on YouTube. And today's going to be a really fun show. I can't wait to get into some of the NFC predictions. I'm going to list off my predictions. We have some great graphics, unbelievable graphics produced from the graphics team. Ziggy and Jack are going to react to that at the graphics team. And then we're going to talk a little bit of NFC North. Question about the Packers that I have for you guys and the perception that people have on them heading into the season. I'd like to dive into that a little bit. And Ryan Tannehill might go to the Vikings. Well, that'll be very brief. We can touch on that. But Ziggy, before we start, there is some like...
Wait, before we get... Ziggy got a great haircut.
Oh, yeah. I mentioned it before we hopped on. I forgot to say it. Look at this guy. Can you go full screen, Zach, for a second?
Yeah, we'll go full screen.
Come on. Oh, my goodness.
No, we're not doing this.
Ziggy is the best.
I got a bit of a quarter chub now.
Yeah, Ziggy looks great.
I was looking pretty spiffy.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe we get this on a shirt here.
Now
buzz cut, Ziggy.
My hair would become unruly. This is the season for making the unruly things ruly again.
Do you put gel? Do you put gel in your hair or no?
Buzz cut Ziggy's something else. I mean,
I don't think it's a buzz cut. That's like a fade.
Fade?
Low taper fade.
No, I did some fading. I've been trying out. I've been learning I give myself my haircuts. I've been learning how to do fades.
But you gave yourself that?
Wow. I honestly thought you got it professionally done.
Dude, this guy right here. Every time you think that Ziggy can't like improve, you're like, oh my God, this guy finds another level.
Doing that yourself just raised it to a half chub.
Okay. Let's move on to Jack's news.
Ziggy with long hair. All right, yeah. Let's get off this. Let's get off this. Women around the world are like, please get off this. We need to concentrate. Okay.
There's a woman watching the show.
Yeah. Ziggy, unfathomable, unguessable. I'd like Ziggy to just have one or two guesses of what Jack's news is because it's so impossible to guess that I'd just like to see if you could even venture near it.
So this is specifically Jack news.
Jack news specifically.
Jack's becoming a professional baseball player.
Now, what do you think is more...
That would have been more likely than what happened here.
Really? You think that's more likely?
More likely, I think, that you got picked up for like base running abilities.
Not even double A or triple A, professional.
Professional. Oh, yeah.
No, triple A's professional.
That's true. You're right. Okay.
Single A. Paid by a team, you're pro.
You're right. True. You're right.
No, Jack is not. I'll let Jack take it from here. Go ahead, Ziggy. You want more guess, maybe?
No, I've thrown out my guesses. My other guess was D3 college basketball coach.
What would that team's record be?
32-1.
No, maybe an assistant. Maybe an assistant. I'm not saying he's in charge of the team.
32-1.
Oh, we've seen, if you're from Green Bay, Wisconsin, media personalities can just get put in charge of basketball teams.
Yes. I could replace Gottlieb.
Yeah.
Couldn't do much worse than he did. What was he, like 5-30?
I don't know.
I wouldn't do any worse than that.
No, that's not the
what
news.
do we got?
So here's the news, Mr. Ziegler, and to all of our fans listening. Very happy day yesterday for me.
Oh, jeez.
March 23rd, 2025. I am no longer a single man.
No, that's not true.
It's impossible.
No, that's if you came in here and said I'm an assistant coach for the New Jersey Nets.
You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it, but that is the news.
Unfathomable, right? This is a crazy day.
No. Wrap the show.
Dude,
Is that it? Is that the show? That's it.
It feels like like the Super Bowl happened yesterday, and there's reactions to it today. It's the news. It's the talk of town.
Do you follow me on Instagram?
No.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta go follow.
Yeah,
you gotta go
follow
look
me.
at this guy's Instagram.
There's the proof.
Phones are blowing up across the country.
Very beautiful, sweet girl.
This is like
what?
This is like when Luka got traded to the Lakers. Our friend Michael was saying that. He's like, what was the bigger news story? And I think in this town, the bigger story is Jack getting cuffed up. Jack getting cuffed up is truly unfathomable. You shouldn't have her watch this segment, by the way. You should not have her watch this segment.
I mean, me being a charming,
That
hot
poor
guy,
woman.
like me being
It is a woman, right? It's not one of your middle school students.
Yo, jeez. Oh, man.
God.
Well, that I could see happen.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
well, it could still be a woman, maybe a middle school
No.
student.
Jack, the over under on this.
No, she's a high school freshman.
That's
No,
gonna be
jeez.
cut.
Uh,
That's
No.
gonna be cut.
Just you clarify it for legal purposes, please.
no, she's a very pretty, a nice 24-year-old girl. But I feel like a charming, hot guy like me, it shouldn't come as a shock. Like it's coming as
Well,
like
it
a
comes
shock
as
to
a
you.
shock that you've been locked down.
Yeah, that's the shock. That's the shock here. It's not that you couldn't pull. It was that you got locked down.
She stole my heart.
Oh, jeez.
What can I say?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, so Jack's off the market, which means
Unfortunately, to all the women listening,
Zach might be soon too. So it's me and you, Ziggy.
I know.
It's me and you out here.
Zach's girl told him she was sick. That might be GG's.
I got that too, actually.
No, we FaceTime last
I'm
night.
okay.
It's okay.
No, you FaceTime last night.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
He's back. Thank God girls don't listen to this podcast because they wouldn't be happy with all the revelations.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her not to listen to this segment.
Don't listen to
segment.
this.
Yeah,
Don't listen to
this
this
segment's off the market.
Leave it alone. But yeah, we thought that was pretty unbelievable news. It's like, I mean, so long. It's not 7-Eleven, girl, right?
Maybe. No.
Yeah, so long
It
to
is not.
women around the world are rejoicing that Jack has a girlfriend. Women are safe around the world.
Women are pissed.
All right, let's get into the show today. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna run through the predictions for the divisions, and then at the end of the after I spew on for a couple minutes, all the guys will react and tell me why I'm wildly incorrect, or likely they'll say, Paul, great job on those picks. It's probably what's going to happen this offseason or next season. Great job, my good friend. So there is this thing where every year, I think it's roughly at least six new teams have made the playoffs between the NFC and AFC each year since the league has expanded to 7 playoff teams in each conference. My picks did not really adhere to that rule so far for the NFC. We're going to do NFC today. Maybe next week we'll get into the AFC. We got a mailbag, by the way, tomorrow. Please drop in your questions on the community page. So, Zach, let's get into this here. You got the screen pulled up? We'll start with the NFC East. All right. The NFC East, and here, Jack, so you can follow along right here.
No, I'm taking
I got the Eagles in first, with the Commanders coming in second, Dallas in third, the Giants in fourth. I feel that, I had that temptation to mess around and put the Commanders up there in first, but we had the whole segment earlier that Washington maybe feels a little closer than they actually are. Very competitive team, could get hot in the playoffs again, but Philly's just too talented, dominant up front. That defense is still extremely young, only going to get better. It's kind of scary. So I got the Eagles with the Commanders as a wild card team. Let's move on to the NFC South, where I believe, this is unfortunate. We don't have the NFC North. Is that it? Or the South? Yeah. I'm all over the place.
It's the North.
Unfortunately, I had the playoff teams highlighted, but it's not showing up here. So, all right, we'll continue on then with the NFC North. I actually do have the Green Bay Packers in first in the North. And this was crazy. I came really close to having the Detroit Lions miss the playoffs. Well, what are you laughing at, Zach? What's so funny?
Hey,
What?
Ziggy, did you see this? Are you seeing the mistake now
Yeah.
that I'm seeing?
Same. I've seen it too.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
All right.
What did I
Keep
do?
it rolling. Keep it
Oh,
rolling.
no.
Keep it rolling.
Oh,
Keep it
no.
rolling.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, you
Keep it
got to be
rolling.
kidding me.
That is, I mean,
no, we keep this in.
The
Keep it
graphics
rolling.
were good. It was a good graphic. All right. I'm sorry.
it's on
I'm
all
sorry.
of us.
I'm
It's slipped by
sorry.
all
I'm
of us.
sorry.
It's on all of us.
Anyway, though, I was going to actually have damn it. I was going to have the Lions missing the playoffs, which felt it was just wrong. But when you look at this schedule, guys, it's brutal next year. They go on the road outside of the division. Commanders, Eagles, Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, and Rams. I mean, that is a vicious road schedule. And I know the Lions are great, but I can see them with the coaching losses. I actually think they regressed a little bit in free agency. They're a Super Bowl contender if there ever was one. But I can see them in the regular season here losing a little bit of the magic from last year. Still being really dangerous, but that's a brutal schedule. And I think Green Bay should be a little better. So in the NFC North, not the South, I'm going to have the Packers winning with the Packers and Lions making the division. Let's go on to the South now. Hopefully that graphic. Please tell me that graphic's correct.
What if that was the North?
That graphic's correct, right?
Yeah.
We're fine
Yes,
here? Okay.
yes.
Son of a bitch. All right. In the South, I have the Bucs in first again. I'm not buying Michael Penix leading Atlanta to the playoffs next year. I think that the Panthers will be improved. Saints are a dumpster fire. If you're not picking the Bucs to win the South, you're out of your mind. Let's go to the West here. So the Bucs are the only team from the South. Producer Zach is like he's sleeping at the wheel.
Yeah, sleeping
at
on
the
his
wheel
phone.
here.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll move on last but not least to the West.
Wait, how was I sleeping?
In the NFC West, the Rams and the 49ers first and second, Seahawks in third, Cardinals in fourth. I actually have the 49ers back in the playoffs as a wild card team. So I'll have the Rams in first, San Francisco in second, and those two teams make the playoffs. Now, Ziggy or Zach, can we pull the big screen now with all the picks here? That should be. Are they highlighted, the first place
Yeah,
teams?
we're good. We're good.
There we go. All right, that's how it's supposed to look. So again, for the entirety of it, I have the Eagles, Commanders, Packers, Lions, Bucks, Rams, and Niners making the playoffs. The one swap, unfortunately, the 49ers getting in, the Vikings, the team coming out.
That's
the
actually pretty
playoffs.
absurd. You left the Vikings out.
I know. Well, I was going to put the Vikings in. I had them in over the Lions for that last spot. And then I was like, if I'm, there's too many questions with JJ for me to just do that immediately. But again, this is way too early. So we'll do this again later in the offseason. What do you guys think? Anything really stand out as right or wrong? Ziggy, we'll go to you first.
I think the waffling about the 49ers is baffling. They are the clear favorites to win this division. And I don't think that should be a surprise.
The waffle.
Look, Matthew Stafford, why? Here is why. The Rams overperformed last year and the 49ers dramatically underperformed relative to the amount of talent that's there. The 49ers are going to get much healthier. And if you look at star power in the division, the Rams have Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua. That's great. There's basically nobody else of note on that team. Everybody's expecting the Rams' young defense to continue ascending and stepping up. Look, you go player for player. People are going to say, oh, Jared Verse, he's such a great player. Bosa's better. You're going to say, oh, Kyron Williams, he's such a great player. Christian McCaffrey's league's better. The 49ers, top to bottom, have much more talent. There's a reason why they opened with even odds to win the division, where the Rams were down like plus 250 territory. The 49ers are clearly the best team in this division. I think you're crazy if you don't have them win it.
What about
even
as far
if they were disappointing last year?
What do you think of that, Jack?
Well, I was going to go over to the NFC East. I can back the Rams winning the division. I think the Rams Niners are top two. Like I don't think there's I think Ziggy saying the Niners is.
Well, Ziggy's always had something for the
Ziggy's the
Niners.
Niner guy.
Yeah,
bang bang Niner gang.
It's the California kid. Yeah,
but it wouldn't surprise me if any one of those two teams won the NFC.
I went with Ziggy. I went with
Well,
I think.
you realize the 49ers get to play fourth place teams, right?
Yeah.
So the Rams have to play the Eagles, Lions, and Ravens. The 49ers get to play the Giants, Bears, and Browns.
What about the Seahawks with Sam Darnold?
That's why I have the 49ers in. I actually like the 49ers as a roster. I mean, they had a tough free agency. They lost a lot of dudes. And
They lost a lot of dudes who were old and didn't perform.
No, I know
last year.
McCaffrey and Trent Williams need to stay healthy. The question is, like, do you think it's more likely those guys stay healthy or not for a full season? I kind of lean towards no. But assuming they don't have any like season-ending injury or anything like that, yeah, I think San Francisco can win like 11, 12 games. I think the Rams will just are better than the 49ers and will beat them. I think they might get the head-to-heads in the tiebreaker there because I'm trusting the best quarterback. I also think you're being a little disrespectful to Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, that D-line that the Rams have. Like, there's some star power and budding star power too, especially on
But
that
the
Rams
49ers
defense.
are better at those positions.
Well, we're gonna have to see.
Brandon Ayuk is worse than Puka Nacua. I will give you the Rams wide receivers. I'm taking George Kittle over whatever tight end the Rams are bringing out. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey over Kyron Williams.
But I'm taking Stafford 10 times out of 10 over Brock Purdy. And I think the defenses are pretty close.
I think that Stafford is old. I think there is a high chance he gets injured next year, and I don't think you're pricing that in.
I mean, as somebody who said that he would trade TJ Watt and a first rounder for Stafford, I'd probably have to lean with Paul here.
I do like. I get it though, Ziggy. I like that you are defending your Niners. Jack, you said the East was where you were going.
Yeah, I think it finishes with the Commanders in first.
Oh, the Commies.
Also,
Really?
Dallas is also a regular season merchant. Like, what are the odds they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row? Like, there is also
They're a sneaky team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're automatically in third place, but I do believe that.
Wait.
Philly-
If you think the Commanders are winning the division and Dallas isn't automatically in third,
Well,
you think there's a world where Philly?
No, there's a world where the Commanders are in third.
Oh, okay. Just confirming.
But yeah. But I have a very funny feeling, that Philly is kind of going on like a bit of a pattern here. They were great, went to the Super Bowl, almost reached the mountaintop, tailed off a little bit. Now they get over that hump, win the Super Bowl. I think it's now Jayden Daniels' time. Like, they were right there, NFC Championship game. I believe they're only going to be better, and they're going to take that little leap and finish first in the NFC.
They had a great offseason. They brought in a lot of pieces too. I think the Commanders are one of those teams that feel like they have the potential to take off. I still think, though, when I look at them head to head with Philly's just so deep everywhere, and they're so talented. It's hard not to pick them. I think head to head against the Commanders, you saw it in the championship game. Like they to me, they're just a step above them still, and the Commanders will have to prove it to me that gap is closed before I can pick.
I'm just making a fun little pick here.
Yeah,
I'm making a fun little pick.
And so I'm assuming we're all cool on the South, right? The Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, and Saints.
Yeah, and the only playoff team there is the Bucks.
Yeah, and how about the North? Were you guys cool with that Packers winning with the Lions in second?
I think the line. I have to check in more to the schedules. I'll admit that. I just think the Lions are going to get healthy. I mean, hopefully more healthy than they were last year, and I just think that right now they're a better team than the Packers. I'd probably put them in first place.
Okay, what do you think, Ziggy?
I'm puzzled, Paul, at how you can say, look, the Rams are better enough than the 49ers that I just trust them to win head-to-head twice, so I'm putting them winning the West. But you're not saying the same thing about the Lions over the Packers in the North.
Mm-hmm.
This Lions team, top to bottom, has consistently shown they are better than the Packers when they're in form. And I just don't think losing a couple of assistant coaches is enough for me to think that they're not clearly the best team in this division. They're probably beating the Packers twice next year. And I think that makes it very, very hard for Green Bay to win the division.
You can really talk me. You can easily talk me into Detroit in first. I like Detroit. Detroit, I just don't expect to have another 15-2 season. What I'm looking at with them is I do think that last year had a bit of that magical feel to it where they were what, like 5-0 or something, maybe 5-1 in one score games. They were very good. I mean, they blew out teams, but they also had quite a few games. I'm thinking Houston. I'm thinking the Vikings game-winning drive. I'm thinking the Chicago Thanksgiving game, Green Bay later in the season, like where they executed great at the end of games. But I did think that there was a bit of that, they were the it team. And I can see that pulling back a bit. I also think that Jordan Love getting healthier is a big deal. And that's something we're not talking a lot about right now, is that the Packers should be even better, despite not necessarily making an offseason move of note, which a lot of the fans wanted to see. And then the determining factor to me was I just look at that Lions schedule, and it's hard. Like I was saying, outside division, at Commanders, at Eagles, at Bengals, at Ravens, at Chiefs, at Rams. That's Stafford, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Hurts, and the defending champions, and Jayden Daniels all on the road. That could
be 6 losses.
Like that could be. It probably won't be because the Lions are so talented. But I mean, that is a brutal road. Like on the other side of that, the Packers get those games at home. They get the Eagles, Commanders, Ravens, and Bengals at home. But you're talking about that first versus second place schedule. The differences in those games are the Lions had the Bucks, the Chiefs, and the Rams. The Packers had the Panthers, Broncos, and Cardinals. Like that to me was enough to say, all right, I'm gonna lean Green Bay right now. But I get it. Like the Lions are awesome and they should be great again.
Detroit is just so good. I think better than Green Bay, and lost pretty much their entire defense last year. So got the number 1 seed. I just feel like with them getting healthy again, I want to see Green Bay and Jordan Love now prove to me that they can win more than 9 or 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
And once they do it, I'll be like, all right, you know what? Maybe they're taking over this division.
What they have? Didn't they have 11 last year though?
But they had 10, right?
I thought
Was it
I
11?
thought they had 11. But it was again, it was a quiet double-digit season.
Until they beat Detroit. And
You're not
until
taking them.
I'm not going to take them. Yeah, I just believe Detroit's just a better team than Green Bay.
I came close. I really did come close. Ziggy. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Oh, you came close.
Just say it, Paul. Just say
I
it.
actually think the Vikings have a chance to win the North. I really do.
I mean, I think every team has a chance to win the North.
Oh, yeah,
If you look at
McCarthy's
the odds,
good,
this
they
is
could.
far and away the most competitive division in football. The Bears could win the North next year.
No, they can't. If McCarthy's good, the Vikings could, though.
I don't think the Bears. I mean, the Bears have a shot.
You've seen this multiple times where the Bears like have a crummy quarterback. They make a bunch of additions around them and they sneak their way into winning the division.
No,
If you think the Lions, Packers, and Vikings are all going to beat up on each other, the Bears were in close in a lot of games of those teams last year and should be a lot better. They could sneak their way up to the top.
Oh no, it's an absolutely loaded division, and I was again as of like 11 o'clock this morning. I had the Packers winning with the Vikings in second and Detroit in third. I sent it over to you guys. I sent it over to our good buddy Tom Monroe, big Lions fan. I said I'm going to get eviscerated
Is
by
that
Lions
just
fans.
the schedule strictly?
The
It has to
reasoning?
be. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think yes, it's the schedule,
Okay.
mostly the schedule, but also and because of the Vikings have a lot of those games. So like the Vikings hosting the Commanders, if JJ McCarthy's decent, I think we should win that game. Like I really do think we should win that game at home. Whereas Detroit on the road in Washington, like, that's a tough game. I think they can lose that. So I'm looking at those situations where maybe the Vikings get a game or two. Ultimately, it's going to come down to can the Packers and Vikings beat Detroit, like you were saying. They haven't been able to do it. And if Detroit continues to dominate them the way they have, then it's going to be a problem. But like, where does Detroit dominate? On the lines. And the Vikings had the most successful offseason of anyone outside of maybe Chicago building up their lines. So I think that the Vikings and Bears especially built their teams this offseason to go and beat Detroit because they've been dominated up front in those matchups. And I think they're ready to go. It's just a matter of, yes, for both those teams, you got the young quarterbacks that need to step up. And that's ultimately why I pulled back on the Vikings was it felt I was being a little too biased
He hasn't played a pro snap.
to go in on the Vikings and say, hey, they're going to beat the defending 1 seed in the NFC when JJ McCarthy hasn't taken a snap. That felt wrong. And I think our show gets a lot of credit for having legit takes.
Unbiased.
Like unbiased. We try to have unbiased takes. And that one felt a little too far for me, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I have the Steelers in Super Bowl every year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're the exception.
They don't-
You're the other end of it.
They don't really seem to mind.
But does that reasoning make sense, Ziggy?
The reasoning makes sense. I just don't buy the priors.
Sweet. All right. So philosophically,
That's a very Ziggy answer.
philosophically, what do I get on that paper? Like a B+ or something?
You made an argument, you defended it, you considered an objection. That's probably an A-.
Hell yeah. I mean, I'll
Is
take
it
that.
in English?
It's in English. It's in English. I'm really bummed out that the
Well,
graphics didn't have
that's-
the highlighted yellow. I was really excited about that.
That's the thing, though.
And I looked at it before we went on the show, too.
In philosophy, like, isn't there necessarily no
Uh-oh.
wrong answer? But as long as you have your argument and you can like back it up, or am I totally wrong?
What? What do
Well,
you mean there's no wrong answer?
like if-
that's Ziggy.
If we're arguing something, and like you have your side, I have mine, and I come up with my reasoning and like give reasons to back it up and support my argument,
But what if you're wrong?
is there wrong, or is it like
yes,
just what?
either there's an external world or there isn't. Either genocide is wrong or it isn't.
I
But-
feel like
but
it's
Either,
hard to
either there are
argue.
governing laws of
Aren't
nature
there
or
some
there aren't.
things-
Can you
So-
argue that genocide is right? I mean, we feel like this isn't the show for that. Can you actually argue that?
Imagine you're a moral anti-realist who says nothing is wrong. Nobody points
okay.
at like genocide in particular and says that's right. But some people say that nothing is wrong.
Oh, okay. So this is a deeper.
That's very
okay,
uncommon, but it is a VC people.
Okay.
So I'm always right.
I was just clarifying that for anyone who was listening and going like Ziggy thinks genocide could be right. It's a deeper meaning.
It's what my less intelligent students that are gripped by a certain kind of moral relativism put this out there. No professional philosopher except one like actually thinks this. So I just point at them and laugh, and then they're quiet again.
I mean, dude, what do you think this guy commands on the open market? If we hadn't signed Ziggy, this is like locking up Jefferson to a $35 million contract, and next year Chase goes for 40 plus. Like you're looking at this deal and you're like, how did we get away with this? This is unbelievable.
Yes.
It's like Stephen A. Like, could you imagine
like the deal of the year?
Well, after Stephen A. goes for $20 million a year, Ziggy's on here operating on his contract, and it's like a steal.
We've got Ziggy locked up.
Like, and Ziggy's not holding out too. It's just kind of kind of amazing.
It's like taking Zach in the last round of rec basketball.
Yeah,
that was actually a bigger steal.
That was a huge steal. I mean, Ziggy, you should have seen Zach. He'd slide down the draft boards. No one says a word. We hyped him up too much though. The last year,
Zach was the best defender in the league, and he went in the last round.
Yeah, it was.
Can you believe that?
It was prime Marcus Smart defense. Crazy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to. We'll stick in. We'll stick with the NFC North here. Wild show. We'll stick with the NFC North here. I did want to ask you guys a question about the Packers because I was just thinking about where they stand right now, and overall, I had them winning the NFC North, but I feel like most fans, most people predicting next year for sure are going to have the Lions. A lot of talk about the Bears up and coming. The Vikings, like we said, just all about JJ McCarthy. And Green Bay's kind of come into this muddy territory where last year there was so much hype around them, how young they were, and the playoff run against San Francisco. But this year it kind of feels like everyone's down on them a bit. And especially when you talk about the receiver position. Like, remember last year we were saying 4 receivers, maybe 2 of them can play like wide receiver ones. This is one of the most talented rooms in the league. Now Christian Watson's banged up. Romeo Doubs has had his issues. Jaden Reed, everyone says, feels more like a number 2 than a number 1, but he's the best of the group. And Dontavian Wick saying, where are you? What are you doing for me? So that group, too, kind of feels like a bigger representation of the broader Packers team. Like, is this team starting, and the receivers, is it starting to be underrated as a potential playoff threat?
Well, that's the thing. You just go back to a few minutes ago. I thought that they had like 9 wins and it was 11.
Yeah.
So last year, we spent the entire offseason saying that this team was going to win 15 games and be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Mm-hmm. And everyone was drinking the Kool-Aid. And now the reason they're not, including myself, is this team is still very good. They won 11 games and it didn't seem like they were all that great. Everything that everyone looks at is them losing in the first round to Philly. And they wanted to go beyond.
And remember the way they ended the year too, losing to Chicago for the first time in 11 games.
Then losing in Philly.
Losing to the Vikings, getting crushed before that late comeback.
Yeah. And that's what people remember about Green Bay. And now this year it's different. I think now everyone is like what I said before. They finished like 3 games behind Detroit. They went 0-2 against Detroit. Jordan Love was a bit injured. He's healthier now. Good for them, but I think now they're hesitant. Like, until that they can do it, let's pump the brakes a bit. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. They're still a good team. They're a playoff team.
Professor.
The thing about this Packers team, this is a cycle that you end up on with a whole bunch of teams. Is you're young, you get a bunch of hype, everybody expects you to take the next step forward. You have a disappointing year, everybody forgets about you, and then the year later you come back and are quite good. And I mean, like we've been saying, winning 11 games in one of the hardest divisions in the history of football, the Packers were almost perfect outside of the division last year.
Yeah.
They were 1-5 in the division.
They lost to 3 teams, right?
Yeah,
outside the Bears game, they lost to the Vikings, Lions, and Eagles twice.
Yeah,
so they lost to 3 teams.
The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Yeah. So this Packers team was very, very good last year. Now, I think there's a reason the Packers continue to be connected to all this talent, right? They were connected to Devontae Adams. They're connected to Tyreek Hill now, which I think is not going to happen. They were connected to T. Higgins. Like, there's all these rumors around because the Packers feel like a team where a little bit of talent infusion would take them to the next level. But the fact that they haven't added elite talent to the team shouldn't take away from the fact that this was one of the 10 or so best teams in football last year. They were one of the youngest teams in football. They're going to continue to get a little bit older, a little bit more experienced. And while I think they haven't made the moves that will push them to a Super Bowl, this team should be very good next year. 11, 12, even 13 wins is not out of the question.
It felt like last season, outside of something catastrophic happening, like the Jordan Love knee injury in week 1, it felt like it was sort of the floor for what this Packers team could have been, with Jordan Love getting hurt, with the D-line and the receiving room not having someone step up the way they were supposed to or expected to. It seemed like they performed at probably like the lowest expectations that we could have had coming into last year. Again, still an 11-win team, still a playoff team, but that does leave room for optimism. Where I think a lot of Packers fans are finding that optimism now. Where at the end of the year it was catastrophic, but the rest of the world really hasn't caught up there. And it's interesting because I was listening to Andy Herman talk about this the other day. He was going on about why the weapons in Green Bay are better than you might think. And he was saying, we have 2 wide receiver 2s and top 15 tight end, top 5 running back, another wide receiver 3 and Dontavian Wicks, who's good. He's like, we're really missing that alpha receiver. Yes, but overall, this offense performed well last year and it's very good. And he was making the comparison to other Super Bowl champion teams where Mahomes led the Chiefs without great weapons all the time. Brady led the Patriots on so many teams without great weapons all the time. Even the Rams that won the Super Bowl, Cooper Kupp, and then a lot of weapons that weren't great around him. And I was thinking okay, and I agree with Andy on that front, but the key here is, yes, and he acknowledged this, it was Mahomes, Brady, Stafford, playing prime football. And to me, it says, okay, we can say the Packers are fine at receiver and their offense is fine, but the best chance, the only chance this team has is for Jordan Love to elevate up to that next level. Where it's no longer the team elevating Jordan, he needs to elevate the Packers. And there's a lot of pressure on Jordan Love. Ziggy, I know you mentioned this in our chat. You didn't get into it, but you were saying as well, Jordan Love, the Packers' moves this offseason put a lot of pressure on Love to play at the level that he's paid to play at. And if he plays there, we saw it. We didn't see wow moments last year, but when they went on the deep playoff run, we saw a $55 million quarterback, and you saw how good the Packers could be. And last year, you didn't get that. A lot of it due to the injuries, I'd say. But he needs there's pressure on Jordan Love to perform at that level, and he's the key. And it's kind of obvious, but I'm not hearing a lot of people say it. He needs to step up.
Yeah, I mean, also, I totally forgot that they only lost to 3 teams last year.
It's crazy, right?
And those 3 teams being the 3 best teams in the NFC, and they were right there, probably at number 4. To beat Detroit, to beat Philly, to really get yourself to that level and beat those teams and become a team who, in my eyes, can go to a Super Bowl. It's not the talent. It is Love playing like Jalen Hurts and even how freaking Sam Darnold played last year up until the final game of the regular season. But yeah, taking that next step and elevating the guys around him. I do think this roster is good enough. I don't think last year he was necessarily good enough.
Yeah, and the Packers are placing the bet that that's going to happen, right? We saw a lot of receivers change hands this offseason. Guys like Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk, DK Metcalf, to a lesser extent, guys like Deebo Samuel. There were plenty of wide receivers available this offseason that they could have gotten, that they could have afforded to sign. They'd rather save the cap and spend their money elsewhere. So I don't think that's an unreasonable bet. Like you said, Paul, you are paying Jordan Love to be the guy. And if you need to invest hugely around him from to be the guy, this roster will never be what it's supposed to be. But it's a big bet on Jordan Love. So I think I said at the beginning of this offseason, right? What the Packers do this year will give you a lot of insight into how they view Jordan Love. If they're 100% sure Jordan Love's the guy, you can invest big time knowing you can restructure his contract. They didn't do that, but they also didn't add any big pieces around him. So it looks like they think it's likely he's going to take the next step forward, but they don't think this is a situation where they need to go all in 100% right away.
Yeah, and you could still hope, they're still hoping in Green Bay, could Lucas Van Ness take that jump that we expected? Can Jayden Reed or Romeo Doubs take another jump here? But really,
I know which of those bets I'm taking.
Yeah, the one that I think is the most likely to happen, and the one that you need to happen is Jordan Love. And if he does it, then anything on top of that is just like the cherry on top. Now we're talking about a team that's filling all the holes that they have. If in addition to Love, you have some other guys taking a step forward. But this is what I've been saying all offseason, is that in Green Bay, there are a lot of dudes that need to look in the mirror and say, I have to be better if we want to win. If we want to win the Super Bowl, because it's a really good division. We just got talking about how all these teams could win. And it's a really good conference. It's a tough conference. So, like everyone knows Green Bay has a shot, but yeah, their quarterback, I do think the injuries, people are saying that I'm giving too much leeway to Jordan Love with the injuries. I thought it was obvious, clear that he was hurt last year to the point where it impacted his play.
And next year's really your window, right? Like, I don't think many people realize just how many high snap players are free agents for the Packers next year, right? So entering in next year, you've got Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom entering free agency. Quay Walker, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Kingsley Enagbare, like many big time contributors for this team. Even Sean Ryan's a restricted free agent. Like there are a lot of players who could be walking away from this team next year. And while maybe you aren't thrilled with the way that Walker and Tom have played, they've played plenty good. Maybe you're not thrilled with Quay Walker, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, but those are guys that you have to replace when they leave. I definitely, Jordan Love has to get it done next year. It's that simple. He needs to show that he is the guy. And if he can't do it next year, I expect the Packers to start looking into other options at quarterback.
Oh,
I'm not saying he needs to win. I'm not saying he needs to win the Super Bowl. But at a certain point, like they're only tied to Jordan Love for 2 more seasons.
What do you mean?
Really
You mean if they miss the playoffs? Is that what you're talking about?
If he doesn't show that he can be the guy next year, if he has another middling season, I know last year was good, but if he doesn't take that step forward, the Packers are expecting. If it looks like it's more 2024 on his contract, that is not going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. You need Jordan Love to play better to win a Super Bowl if you're going to be paying him like one of the highest paid QBs in the NFL. That's true.
Well, look, it's a problem that the Dolphins, the Jaguars, a lot of these teams that are paying a lot of money are having.
What he needs to give them is what Jayden Daniels gave the Commanders last year.
That boost?
Yeah. That's what Jordan Love needs to do.
And he's getting paid to do it.
He's expected.
Yeah. No, he can. Well, that's what I'm saying is like, I'm going through my predictions here and I picked the Packers to win the North. The reason I think they're underrated is because I picked Green Bay to win the North, and in my head, I'm thinking to myself, man, like that feels wrong. Like I should probably have Detroit there. The Packers are good enough to win them. Like it wouldn't be surprising at all. If you look at them on paper, they're a really good team. And that's why I think if anyone said the Packers are winning the North, I bet there would be pushback by a lot of people. And that's why I'm like, all right, yeah, this is an underrated team. And maybe it's better for them to have that motivation, try and come from under the radar. But I also don't want Lions fans listening to this. Like the Lions, I think, are the best, if not the second best roster in maybe in football. Like they're very good. They're very, very.
What were you saying? All sports?
Well, I was gonna say I was gonna debating like the conference, the conference of the league. But the Lions are an excellent team. If the Lions won 14 games again, I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't like be floored. They're awesome.
Yeah, but the Packers had opportunities to beat them last year. I think the gap is a little bit less than people think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was a game-winning field goal in Detroit, right?
Yeah, and it was on that fourth. Remember they had the 4th and inches play?
Yeah.
It was amazing from Campbell.
And the November 3rd game was like prime injured Jordan Love.
Do you remember reacting to that game? And people were
when they got murked,
yeah, when LaFleur comes out and says Jordan Love can't move.
He said Love can't walk, and Packers fans. Like I love Packers fans, but it was really funny listening to them at the end of the game. They're like, we got to go Malik the rest of the year, and I was like, he can't walk, guys. He literally can't walk.
I mean, picking Green Bay to win the North is not like taking the Saints to win.
No, it's not crazy.
I
have them winning it at 11-6. Like it's not, it's
and Detroit they could lose 5 or 6 of those road games.
Yeah, it's the North is really a really good division, but they're not head and shoulders better than everyone else, where they can go and waltz into Baltimore and Philadelphia. Like they're not, those are tough games.
Like I'll actually probably pick most of those home teams in those games.
Yeah. But once come playoff time, I think that the North is good enough to go and have a little run with maybe 3 teams in. But
like this year,
I did want to actually. Speaking of the playoffs, I do want to ask you guys: did you see the proposal from the Lions to change the format where you have you still have wild card teams, but what you'd have is instead you would seed it according to record. So it would be like the same thing this year. You'd have the same teams make it, and the division winner would automatically get in, but the Vikings would have been the 3 seed. and would have hosted a playoff game.
Can I say something about the Lions' proposed changes this year?
Oh, because their record was better.
Wait, does this have anything to do with the proposed rule change? Or?
Yes, this has to do with the 2 proposed rules
Oh,
change.
sure, go ahead.
I love that the Lions are bold enough to just propose rule changes that are obviously for their benefit. Right. So, like, they did the other proposed
Packers
rule
too.
change they did was the defensive holding, illegal contact, no automatic first downs.
Yeah.
They proposed that only because they were number 1 in the league by a wide margin for those kinds of penalties. Right. The league average was something like 13 or 14. The Lions had 26 last year. This is clearly just, we're in a tough division. Can you change the rules so that we're more likely to
host
have
games,
playoff games? Like, I respect whether or not, I'm not commenting on the rule at this point. I'm just saying I love the hustle of just obviously proposing changes that are good for you and bad for everyone else. I'm just hoping they won't notice.
Well, it was Green Bay too, at the tush push. Green Bay saying hey, one of the biggest rivals in the conference is great at this. Can we please get rid of it? And that's a little different. I think that's a little broader. That's the whole NFL being we need to stop Philly. But
I don't know. I kind of like the 4 division winners hosting their games.
The division meaning something more.
Yeah.
The thing I really like about this feels like a reactionary proposal. It seems like they were just look, this year in particular was really strange. I love that in the NFL, if you want a home playoff game, there's only one thing you have to do: win your division.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It doesn't matter. Weird stuff happens. You don't have to worry about a division with 2 great teams and 2 terrible teams beating up on each other, so you miss it. We didn't have that this year, but that happens in plenty of seasons, right? Where you have 2 awesome teams, 2 terrible teams just racking up their record. You don't have to worry about weird things where there's a great team with a first place schedule and a good team with a 4th place schedule, sort of rebounding. Some divisions play harder schedules than others every single year, right? The way you rotate teams you play, it just is what it is. We saw this in the NFC North last year, right? They had some really fortunate divisions they got to play against that probably inflated their records a little bit. Now, that was a good division, don't get me wrong. But if you're an NFC North fan, you have to admit that the teams you got to play out of division last year helped you a lot. I don't think, given how the NFL schedules the season, you should have a change like this.
And
win your division, home playoff game, that simple.
I get it too. I understand it. And Minnesota won 14 games and played in Arizona. And
in Arizona.
I understand it. We saw Pittsburgh at 13 wins play at Tim Tebow with 8 wins and lost. But then it does take away the weeks 17, weeks 18, those divisional games. I love those games where winner wins the division, losers out, and
there's really something at stake.
Yeah, it really makes it a lot more meaningful to me with the divisions. And it's, I guess, just tough luck if you don't win the division.
Sometimes you get unlucky. I mean, look, as a Viking fan, Ziggy, as Vikings fans, we bear the brunt of it worse than any team ever in NFL history this year, being a 14-win wild. 14 wins wild card is ridiculous.
Last year's an anomaly. If you win 13 games, you win the division most of the time.
Yeah. So that, it sucked, but I still wouldn't change it either. I think you guys are totally right that it's fun to have stakes. And I like that they did it with the conferences too when they moved to 7 teams. You're rewarded for winning your conference now with the bye week. And in the past, I was cool with the 1 and 2 seeds getting the bye, but now it feels a little more special. You win your conference, you are the only team rewarded for it.
I do like that too. And also back to divisions, it's you're competing against 3 other teams. You're one of 4 teams. And if you finish better than this group of teams, your reward is playing a playoff game at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it should stay.
Yeah, I liked it too.
There's something special in the NFL about late game divisional games and divisional rivalries. They've managed to hold this on in a way that friends like the NBA just totally hasn't. Who cares about divisions in the NBA? Literally nobody. I think that if you get rid of this, you're undermining some of the things that makes the NFL schedule so much fun. And honestly, I always want the division winner to have a home playoff game. Realistically, it's something that for most teams, even the Vikings last year, it only would have affected us for 1 or 2 games. Just get good.
Well, I don't know. If the Vikings, it feels like it would have. We would have gone to Philly.
If the Vikings were seeded 2, they would have had to go on the road in a couple of games anyway, even if they won.
Yeah, no, they still would have. But yeah, no, I'm looking at the NBA standings right now, and it's Celtics and Knicks are 2-3 here. But it's funny when you have the Eagles playing the Giants. It's a madhouse. Yeah, and I mean, I know Celtics Knicks is because that's like, a huge, like historic rivalry in the sport. But it's like, I feel that those games do carry so much more because you can win the division.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I picked the Giants as an example, but you know what I mean. Where
I know what I mean.
You're
Like
right.
those-
In the
yeah.
NBA, you just don't. It's not the same ring to it with the division games.
I agree.
So it was it was an interesting proposal from the Lions though, who seemed to maybe, is that a sign of weakness from Detroit? Thinking maybe
He wouldn't see the Pittsburgh Steelers doing.
are
that.
they looking at the Vikings and saying, "Oh shoot, JJ McCarthy
Yeah, you wouldn't
might
see
steal this
Pittsburgh.
from us. We got to get a home
It
playoff
makes
game."
sense that a franchise that's not used to winning their division would propose a rule change that says winning your division shouldn't matter.
little shots at Detroit is fun.
Yeah, you wouldn't see
Although
Pittsburgh doing that.
we haven't beat
But
them in
look,
like 3 years.
you always want to punch up, right? And Detroit, they're the big dogs in this division. I get to do that.
So I'm looking here. We'll touch on this quickly. The Vikings are interested in Ryan Tannehill.
Oh gosh.
Your boy?
Good old
Keep this to 30.
Ryan Tannehill.
30 seconds.
I
please.
haven't read the article, but it says Rappaport, the Vikings hope they don't need Ryan Tannehill at quarterback.
Yeah, well, just play McCarthy.
I hope we don't need Ryan Tannehill.
I think we all do. I don't understand. Like maybe I should read the report before reacting to it, but it just seems to me like that's something that obviously we don't. Pelissero's right. This is JJ McCarthy's team moving forward. The Tannehill conversations, if there was any conversation, it was more like, all right, might you theoretically be available if we need you because Ryan Tannehill sat all of last year. I think he would come back for an opportunity to start for an awesome team and make some decent bridge quarterback money, maybe 10 or 15 million, something like that. Yeah, this Tannehill, Ryan Tannehill's not going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings next year.
Like he's just
what they're saying is Ryan Tannehill's only going to come to a team he can start. So the only way Ryan Tannehill's coming to the Vikings next year is if JJ McCarthy ruptures his knee again.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying is it even worth people talking about Ryan Tannehill coming? I actually just assumed before I read anything that Tannehill was going to be the backup to McCarthy for the year. If the Vikings signed
Ryan Tannehill, what he did last year gives you some insight into who this guy is. He could have made $4 or $5 million as a backup last year easily. Ryan Tannehill said, "I want to be a starter so bad, I'm going to just give up $4 or $5 million for the chance that a team signs me as the starter," and no team did. Ryan Tannehill, I find that sort of baffling. But he wants, he's acting like he's Aaron Rodgers out here, I guess.
he's better now.
But Ryan Tannehill, he's just a guy who wants to start for football teams. He doesn't want to be a backup.
Yeah, look, that's fine. I have no problem in Ryan Tannehill believing in
I have
himself.
0
some
point
problem with it. He's giving him free money.
There'd be 0 point in the Vikings starting Ryan Tannehill.
That's the thing. If the Vikings signed Ryan Tannehill to be a backup option, I'd be very happy with that because we haven't had.
I would agree, but not yet. I would agree.
I think that we need an upgrade at the backup quarterback position, especially with a young guy coming in who's, again, never taken a snap, coming off a major knee surgery. But if the Vikings signed Tannehill with the intention of starting him next year, I'd be furious. I'd just be furious. So it'd be like, why didn't we?
He's just like a much
Rodgers?
older, slower, less athletic Darnold.
Well, Tannehill, he had some good years too. We're not. This is not making fun of Ryan Tannehill at all. I think we're just saying
No, just no point in starting.
Yeah, we're saying
now.
for this team
there's-
here, it doesn't make sense.
The player that the Vikings should bring in is Case Keenum. He's the guy that makes the most sense of all the free agent quarterbacks available.
I've heard Flacco rumors too at one point.
Joe Flacco is going to be 41 next year.
Look, the whole thing is though, if JJ McCarthy goes down, if JJ goes
I
down,
want Case Keenum. He's shown that when guys go down,
you need a little that's where I would have liked having Daniel
Are
Jones.
you rolling your eyes at Vikings savior Case Keenum?
No, sorry. I'm sorry. That's wrong.
Sorry,
That's
Mason
wrong.
Rudolph's off the map.
sorry.
Apologize to Case Keenum.
Sorry,
right
Case
now.
Keenum. My bad. I love Case Keenum.
Case Keenum was your favorite player in the NFL for a season.
Probably first season he was. Yes. I mean, that was an unbelievable year. I remember I loved Case Keenum so much that year that I was like, we got to bring him back. like we have to bring him back. When they brought Cousins, I was excited. I thought it was the right move, but there was a piece of me that, like Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, always loved those guys. But the Vikings, again, with the concerns around JJ McCarthy that are warranted, I would love to have a backup that, just in case if something happened, and hopefully it's nothing too serious, but if something did happen for McCarthy, even for a few weeks, you could go out there and be confident and that you could get a win. Like there was the times when we had Sean Mannion, no diss, Sean Mannion, no diss. But Sean Mannion came in, and I was like, this can't possibly be it. Like I remember
And
he
then that's
played.
what happened.
Do you
It
guys
wasn't it
remember?
at all.
Do you guys remember NFC North fans watching the Vikings going to Green Bay and it's like a Sunday night game and Sean Mannion played and I was like, oh my god, this can't. Like it looked like
Tannehill could get you a win.
Tannehill could get a win.
Yeah.
And man, I'm gonna stop because I'm being mean to Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion was Kirk loved him in the room. I'm sure he's a very smart guy, helped the team, but bad game. Just a really bad game to watch. So I would love
the
to have
ideal would have been keeping Daniel Jones, but Daniel
Yes.
Jones wanted a real chance of here's what that Daniel Jones leaving signaled. Because it's not as if Anthony Richardson's not getting every chance to win that job. It signaled he thinks the Viking job is locked up and going to JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. Apparently our friends saw Daniel Jones out of the bar in Hoboken recently.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah,
There's
apparently
no way
it
to
was-
prove it, I guess. But
No way to prove it.
Does he just live there?
Well, I don't see. Well, yeah, he does. He
Well,
lived
he's
in
been
Hoboken.
to the Hoboken bars before.
Doesn't he
He's
live in
been-
like Jersey City or Hoboken or
Yeah.
something?
Well,
But
I would have thought that's where he lived when he played for the Giants.
that's what I would have
Yeah.
thought. But no, here's what I think.
He was there with Eli.
My guess is that Daniel Jones temporarily moved, rented somewhere in Minnesota, and now he's back in Hoboken because he's like, why?
Yeah.
He's just living with his parents or something.
No,
Like,
he
his
has
parents
an
are North
apartment.
An apartment.
Our other friend actually lived in his building.
Yeah.
For a little bit, and now I'm guessing he'll go off to Indianapolis. Maybe he'll hold on to it.
Who knows?
Why not? It's a nice area or fun area at
It
least.
is. It's a very fun area.
Then you go to Indianapolis for a year, see what happens. And so yeah, he was on Daniel Jones. If you see him, or if Daniel sees this, he was wearing a Chelsea hat apparently.
We're in Hoboken too a lot.
Said he was a nice guy.
Hmm.
So
No, I've heard a lot of nice things about Daniel Jones. I know somebody who got Daniel Jones's number through a friend of a friend. And Daniel Jones, after he got benched, this person sent Daniel Jones a little, hey, thanks for what you do for the Giants. Keep your head up. Daniel Jones didn't know this guy, and he actually responded thank you, I appreciate it. That Daniel Jones is just that guy.
that is nice. That is a nice thing to do.
That is nice.
I've always found it kind of weird if you get I probably shouldn't go down this path.
I
But
do
if you get a number from a friend of a friend, if it's a celebrity, I'm not going to get into this. I'm not
Well,
gonna
no, I do think that was a little strange, but his reasoning was just here's what he thought. He thought, well, Daniel Jones had a really terrible exit. I just want to sort of let him know that Giants fans had his back.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. It's
If I were Daniel Jones, I would have thought, who's this weirdo who blocked the number? So if Daniel Jones is made to be a celebrity, I do that. Sometimes our fans get my number.
when
Blocked.
fans get your note, when fans hit up Ziggy. Yeah, when fans hit up Ziggy, immediate block. That's awesome. All right. Well, I think that's it for today's show. Unless if anyone, does anyone have anything they want to talk about?
Yeah, you're running out of time to submit a question to our mailbag. We're recording it Tuesday afternoon, so get your mailbag question in now. If you've made it this far, you deserve to have your mailbag question answered.
Yeah, and if anyone's upset about Jack being off the market, feel free to message us on Instagram.
Yeah, chime in.
Zach, was it 7-Eleven girl?
It was not 7-Eleven girl.
7-Eleven.
People will
girl.
be shocked by that.
Is she okay? Does she know, or is she finding out on this show?
She's been made aware. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One more thing. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can hit us up on all sorts of social media. We still got a TikTok, right?
We do have a TikTok. Yes.
Instagram, x.com. We're on all the major platforms for all your Paul Farrington show needs. We have a good time here. And really, if you've made it this far, I don't know why you haven't liked and commented and subscribed. But we could use all the support. We're making a push for 20K. Our goal is to have 20K by the time the NFL season starts. We'll have a big show of giveaways, a nice little live show.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy right here.
Come out here.
Reaching into the show while
You have a chance to subscribe right now before we hit big. 20K is when we've officially hit big. You can be one of the fans. You can still be an OG.
An OG. Yeah, an OG member. We appreciate everyone for listening. Ziggy, excellent job on the CTAs as always. And we'll be back on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll be back with the mailbag.